These days at AnoNuevo State Reserve, visitors walking through the dunes quickly notice intriguing noises. During the winter, thousands of elephant seals come ashore for the breeding season, offering a unique scene that visitors can observe under the guidance of a volunteer docent, like Santa Cruz resident Leslie France.
The elephant seals started to come to the AnoNuevo area in the 1960s, early 1960s, when they first started showing up out on the island, AnoNuevo Island. The one small beach that's there that they could get onto was discovered by them at about that time. They then overflowed, a few of the females overflowed basically from that one beach. Since they can't climb, they couldn't get anywhere else on that island. They overflowed onto the mainland here just out of necessity because they needed to give birth. They were full term, ready to give birth. Their pups do not know how to swim when they're born, so they couldn't give birth in the water. They came over here in the early 70s, just a handful, and discovered that the grizzly bear, that would have been a concern in all the many years before that for attacking their pups if they gave birth on land, were gone. And so now the word's gotten around, and we have thousands of pups born here on the mainland every year. And now there are several other mainland rookeries, places where this activity occurs, other places up and down the California coast.
Located 1 mile past the county line drawn between Santa Cruz and San Mateo counties, the reserve is the site of the largest mainland breeding colony in the world for the northern elephant seals, making it a well-known spot to study their life and behavior.
Elephant seals are very different between the males and the females, very different physically. The males are up to 15 feet long. They can be up to 5,000 pounds. That's pretty unusual, but 4,000 pounds is a good solid breeding male. The males have the big funny proboscis, the large nose that can hang down even as much as 2 feet, and they have a chest shield they've been working on building their whole lives by bashing into one another from a very early age. And that's very important for them in later life when they're seriously at 4,000 pounds bashing into another male to try to get control over a group of females, or just control over some empty spot of land that they don't want to be controlled. The females, on the other hand, are physically much smaller and look different. They're only about 8 or 9 feet long. They have regular pointy noses, no big long floppy proboscis. They do not have a chest shield. They don't bash into one another to get ready to do big fighting. And they're only going to be 1,200, maybe 1,400, maybe 1,500 pounds heavy at their maximum weight, which is when they come here ready to give birth. The females are going to give birth to one and only one pup once a year, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 days after they get onto the land. Unlike most mammals, the moms cannot leave their pup's side. They have an awful lot of trouble keeping track of which pup is theirs. And so if they left, their pup would never find it again and it would die. In fact, if they get separated by as little as even 15 or 20 feet in the harem, the pup is probably going to become an orphan, not get back together with its mom, and fail to get to a survival situation.
Unlike other seals around the world, and although they are still the target of great white sharks and orcas, the northern elephant seals are not threatened with extinction anymore and built an astonishing success story during the last century.
They were hunted by human beings mercilessly, starting in the 1850s, for the same reason that whales were hunted. In other words, for the oil that could be derived from their blubber. But with the elephant seal, it would neither fight nor flee when the hunters came to kill the seals in a particular rookery. And so it was a very short period of time from when they started hunting them until the world thought that the northern elephant seal had disappeared and was extinct. Fortunately, there was one small colony left on a little island called Guadalupe, or Guadalupe, I'll do the pronunciation, which is off the coast of Baja, so it was in Mexican territory. The entire population has come back from that small colony, which is now believed that it was a group of less than 50 individuals and only 2 or 3 breeding males. Since that time, the early 1900s, the species was still struggling, very inbred, very genetically bottlenecked. But by about the 1950s, by some miracle, it got past that, it got enough robust DNA to survive and has been thriving since, and is now up to about 160,000.
Traveling on their own in deep waters for most of the year, elephant seals come ashore twice a year, during the winter for the breeding season, and to get rid of their outer layer of fur during the summer, which allows tourists to see them year-round at the park. Often considered an exciting attraction, they remain wild animals that are dangerous for hikers.
People should never, who are visiting AnoNuevo, should never run into an elephant seal when that person is alone, because they should either be on a guided walk December 15 through March 31, or they should be here in the roving naturalist season when you're self-guided walking, you're doing self-guided walking from the parking lot to the seals. But again, you're kept at that time of the year, there are ropes up, and you are kept from getting close to where the seals are on land for molting, which would be the other reason they're here.
An elephant seal can run as fast as a human being on a short distance, even in the sand. Due to their weight, elephant seals can crush anything that stands in the way, even if it means killing one of their own.
If, in the rare cases, since I've been volunteering here, we have had to run because an elephant seal was headed our way, we keep running and the elephant seal stops occasionally. But there have been no known attacks on humans by elephant seals here or anywhere else, other than researchers who are going right up to them.
But elephant seals are far from being the only attraction at AnoNuevo State Reserve. The park is also an exceptional playground for researchers who come to study the exceptional flora, fauna, and geology of the place, along with traces from the existence of the Ohlone, an ancient Native American civilization. Welcoming thousands of visitors each year, AnoNuevo sometimes even become more than a simple stop along Santa Cruz coasts.
I thought I would do it for several years, like 3 or 4 or 5, and then get tired of it. But here I am, over 20 years later, unable to give it up. I guess they'll have to kick me out of here to get me to go away.